Écoutez et répétez.
Levez la main si vous avez 8 activités.
With modern foreign languages now no longer compulsory at GCSE, many see it as vital that pupils at Key Stage 3 are engaged effectively and given access to the best opportunities to learn. Some schools have risen to the challenge to motivate pupils and taken the opportunity to experiment with new ideas.
All right, we ready?
Jill Wheeler is one of those experimenters.
At Horbury School here within the Languages Department, what we've tried to do is to be experimental and take risks and try out new things, and one of those things that we have done is single-sex setting.
This programme will take a look at Horbury's single-sex project and the techniques required to make it work. Horbury School is located near Wakefield in West Yorkshire. It's an 11 to 16 comprehensive that has had specialist language college status since 2002. 12% of the pupils are free school meals, 4% are on the SEN register, and fewer than 1% have English as a second language.
There is a huge issue with the gender gap in modern foreign languages, and nationally the picture is still bleak, that girls do outperform boys in all foreign languages. And when I first arrived at this school, the gap was noticeably more marked than the national average.
In fact, in 2002, while the girls were scoring 64% A-star to C at GCSE, the boys only managed 36%. That meant the gap was twice the national average. Jill decided that changes were necessary.
I put out a questionnaire to a range of Year 8 students around what particularly motivated them most in language lessons, and all the students had to do was tick a range of activities. And straight away it was black and white. The boys were choosing the computer lessons, the lessons that involved challenge, the lessons that involved games.
Yeah, gather in the cards, pass them to me, and then we'll redistribute and see if we can beat the time.
And the girls were definitely leaning towards writing to their pen pals, progressing through the textbook, learning the grammar.
The department therefore decided to introduce single-sex groups in Year 8 at different ability levels. At first, Jill didn't find implementing the changes easy.
When we decided that we were going to split the classes and we went for this kind of plunging approach, it was literally a baptism by fire. We went into our single-sex groups with great trepidation, really thinking what's going to work, and we just had to trial lots and lots of different ideas until we came up together as a department with the ideas that work best of all.
My initial reaction to the suggestion of single-sex setting was a little cynical. I have been here, as I said, a while, and this has been mooted and even piloted in other areas of the school, not with a great deal of success.
I think we were all a bit sceptical because we're not trained to teach single-sex groups. It was going to need training and it was going to need a lot of support within the department.
I did consult widely about which teachers received which groups initially in the first year because it was quite a big change for people, and I think they were concerned about whether they were just going to get given a bottom set boys and left to get on with it. So we talked about it as a team and decided where we thought our strengths and weaknesses were and who would be best suited to the boys' classes, who would be best suited to the girls' classes.
The department had to tailor the lessons to suit the different learning styles of the boys and the girls.
At Horbury we took part in the national pilot for the Key Stage 3 strategy for languages, so we've been heavily involved in developing 3-part lessons where we have a starter, a main activity and a plenary. And this is kind of embedded already in everything that we do, and it's building on that now to make that more relevant to the boys and make that more relevant to the girls.
One of Jill's first actions was to introduce a completely new way of motivating the boys.
We had the idea to set up a football league, and I divided the group into 4 teams, les bleus, les rouges, les verts et les jaunes, and every time they did a good piece of work or they contributed to an activity or they showed team spirit and they reacted with respect towards one another, they score goals for their team. Debut and boo. Yes. We keep changing activities to keep the boys focused on what they're doing. We can have a 10-minute whiteboard activity followed by a 10-minute writing activity, then a 10-minute speaking activity, and each time the boys know that they're going to score goals at the end of that activity if they perform well. And it's through doing this system that we feel that we've actually tapped into what the boys enjoy, and we've made it quite relevant to them. They enjoy coming to the lessons, and the motivation is definitely there.
Single-sex classes also allow the department to focus more on content that appeals to the boys.
We were doing this last lesson with the football report, report of going to a football match.
The thrust of it is to make the language realistic and to make them understand why they are studying French. It's finding a way to introduce the topic that engages boys. For example, when we teach colours, because we have interactive whiteboards, we're very fortunate we can project photographs of motorbikes in all the different colours, and they're instantly interested because they want to look at the motorbike and they want to see which is the next picture that's coming up, and through that then they start to remember the colours. It's trying to twist everything into a challenge but make it interesting to them through what they enjoy doing out of school.
The issue of the girls being in a single sex was one of my initial reservations about the whole idea, because I feel that sometimes positive discrimination can work against the girls. There are lots of measures put in place for the boys to try and motivate the boys generally, whereas the girls get on with their work and don't always get the recognition for that.
The department therefore tried to design the girls' lessons carefully, according to what motivated them.
I think girls are more easily motivated by success. They can see the longer-term value of learning, of achieving their potential, and that they know that each lesson contributes to that long-term goal.
Then next lesson and the lesson after, we'll keep going, we'll finish off the draft, we'll improve it when we learn new things, and at the end of a good few lessons work, you should have a nice piece of writing about your daily routine that can give a level.
The girls group that I teach in Year 9 have responded very positively recently to a series of lessons which have been purely based on grammar. And so many grammar-based lessons I would not have expected to have been able to do and to have such a positive response from a mixed group.
For a stamp, can somebody tell me what form of the verb that is? Jess? Infinitive, très bien.
Pupils know what their target level is at the end of Year 9, and we try as much as possible to refer back to those levels to motivate them to say, right, you've got a level 3 for your piece of writing, but we can do better than that. To get a level 4, you need to increase use of opinions, you need to write more, you need to write longer paragraphs, longer sentences, and that should in turn motivate them because we explain to them exactly what's required.
And I want you to very quickly read what it says about achieving level 5 and then what it says about achieving level 6 and tell me the main difference.
We do tailor the boys' lessons to suit the needs of the boys, and we tailor the girls' lessons to suit the needs of the girls, but at some point there has to be a certain amount of overlap where the girls, obviously, we want to play the games and have the same challenge that the boys do, and the boys will have to tackle longer projects and look at the grammar as well.
The 4 skills, reading, writing, speaking and listening, are all covered, whether it be in a boys' lesson or a girls' lesson, just the emphasis is placed differently. Boys may not enjoy writing as much, but they still have to do it. We still have to bring it into the lesson somehow. Likewise, girls don't enjoy speaking so much. They don't enjoy putting the hand up and taking the risk of saying something in French and making a mistake. So the speaking activities will be more pair-orientated.
Jill feels any improvements are partly down to the way the pupils are set in the single-sex groups.
In terms of setting the pupils, in the past we've had traditional set 1, 2, 3 and 4, which have all been mixed gender, whereas now we have an upper boys and upper girls, a lower boys and a lower girls. And if anything, because there's a broader spread of ability, the stronger pupils are pulling the weaker ones along.
I know what it is.
And they're all working to a far higher level than they would have been in a traditional bottom set.
The department believe that the experiment has worked well, partly due to the nature of the subject.
I think we're lucky in modern foreign languages because we have such a variety of materials and teaching activities to put into one lesson that it's very easy to tailor the activities for boys or for girls.
Ask where the perfume counter is, say you need a present for your parents and say you're going to buy some earrings and could they wrap them up please.
Jill feels her experiment would not work were it not for the willingness of her team to try new things and share ideas.
Well, as a department, we have a very open door policy, whereby that means that any one of us at any time can go into each other's lessons, watch a segment of a lesson, steal one another's lesson plans, take resources from each other, and generally swap ideas. Bon, merci. Au revoir, la classe. Au revoir. Au revoir. So in that sense, it's developing a very, very supportive ethos amongst the department, whereby we know that each other are nearby and we can help each other whenever we feel that we need.
It's amazing how easily it is just to pick up an idea that you can then use with your own group just by being in the room a few minutes. If we have an idea that works well with our group, we willingly pass it on to other members of the department to whom we feel it would be useful.
For example, if somebody comes in, takes the coat off, get the books out, get the planner out, and I think they deserve a stamp for that, then I would give them one. When they get 5 stamps, they get some sweets. When they get 10 stamps, they get a prize. And at first I thought, oh, will they be bothered? Will they think it's childish? But they absolutely love it.
So has it been a success in terms of motivation?
Yeah, overall I think the project has helped massively to encourage pupils to continue with the languages. We're in a fortunate position here at Horbury where pupils have to continue with French up to the age of 16, but we're trying to encourage pupils to take a second language, and last year 25% of Year 10 did opt for a second language through choice. So we do feel that part of their reason for taking the foreign language at Key Stage 4 will be the interest and the motivation that they get in Key Stage 3. And I think there are very, very few pupils that aren't interested and aren't motivated enough to want to continue.
And what about the attainment?
The gap in attainment hasn't actually closed at all. But what we found is that attainment has risen for both boys and girls across the board. So we haven't closed the gap, but if we've raised attainment for everybody, then we're happy with that.
In fact, since single-sex setting began, national curriculum levels at Horbury have seen an average increase of 11% for the girls and 7% for the boys.
Super, continue.
The results of the experiment are not only useful for single-sex classes.
I think if you don't teach in single-sex groups and you still have traditional mixed groups, then it's very important to take on board some of the ideas in terms of adapting your lessons to suit the needs of your learners. And obviously at the moment our classes in Year 10 and 11 are still mixed, and that's the way we have to approach it. But as a result of our work in Key Stage 3, we're finding now that our lessons in Key Stage 4 are more tailored to the individual students, and it isn't just a blanket textbook lesson for all.
I feel that it has been, up to now, a resounding success. I'm no longer cynical about it. I really feel that it's working well. But I think it does need the kind of teamwork and support that we are able to offer each other if this kind of thing is to work.
It's been a huge challenge for all the teachers, and it certainly isn't easy, but we've found that it's almost rejuvenated everybody and given us something new to focus on and a new way of approaching things. But everybody's getting their head around it and they're pleased with the way that it's going and are quite happy to teach either boys or girls sets now.
Could you please put your hand up if you feel that you have successfully given at least 4 sentences in the future tense today?